Oh, hello. Hi, Paul. Hi, Bernie. Hi, Myra. And I think her sister's on. Myra can't talk. She has laryngitis. So, how are you, Bernie? You're doing good. I saw you were messing with your audio too.
Yes, there I am. Yeah, I'm doing well, thank you.
Oh, good, good. I know we haven't done one of these in so long. It's been a while. So, but I thought, let's get together, let's share, some of our own, where we're at, what's going on, but especially a big issue that is surfacing with a lot of people. And I don't know if you've had any of these experiences too, Bernie, but it's centered around brain fog. Okay.
Oh yeah.
And
Oh,
so you can kind of relate to that as well.
yes.
Um, and it really has escalated. There's no doubt about it. All over. A lot of people are feeling pretty stuck. Pretty stuck mentally, emotionally, and physically. And this is very interesting. A study recently done confirmed that there are over 600 million cases right now of people, what they call having cognitive decline. Now, cognitive decline, it doesn't necessarily have to be Alzheimer's or dementia. It could be a lot of the things we're going to talk about that's influencing why people are feeling and experiencing so much brain fog. And the other thing that I found very interesting is it's not just older people. This is all age groups that are experiencing this. Even children are experiencing this. So it's so many age groups as well, more and more younger ones. Um, so I want to really go through, like, what are some of the influences with brain fog, but I want to sum it up to, we're not going to be able to come out of this unless we address certain situations and conditions that are going on with brain fog. And so we have just a few slides, but they're loaded with a lot of information that I think can really help. And I want to spend time to go through these different ones. Um, and if, Bernie and Myra, if some of you want to have some of this information emailed to you, I'll do that as well. So let's pull up the first slide, Kimberly. And I just always want to thank Kimberly for pulling this together too. So symptoms that affect your ability to think, because that's what people are saying. They're having a hard time processing information. They're about focusing, concentration. Let's say if you have trouble motivating yourself to complete challenging tasks, these are just common symptoms people are experiencing right now. Just even simple tasks. Myra says, that would be great for the info. Okay, we'll make sure you get some, Myra. You make typos in important documents. Like it's making more errors than what we're used to. Or, I mean, it's common to make errors. Okay, there's some parts of this that, like, occasionally you're going to go in the store and say, what did I forget? Or maybe you're going to go, you went upstairs in your house, downstairs to get something and just slip your mind. Like intermittent forgetfulness, that happens. But we're talking about brain fog. This is happening more frequently. You make mistakes in forgetting email attachments. That is really common because that is just happening more and more. That for us to pay attention to the detail right now, it takes more bandwidth to do that. Negativity affecting your work performance. Maybe, you know, some of you are feeling, wow, I'm not as positive. Maybe I'm feeling a little more irritable. Maybe I'm, you know, a little more impatient. That is part of some of the symptoms. Let's go ahead to the next slide. Okay, here's a variety of different symptoms. Really, really good to look at. Ongoing sense of tiredness. There's a lethargicness. There's a, you know, sometimes you have some good energy, but the window span in between is really short. But overall, let's say even come towards the end of the day, just feeling tired. Let's say you're waking up tired. You know, these are things that maybe some of this you haven't thought about, but after we read through this, and we're going to talk about it a little more, it might connect, or you might be able to help somebody else with this. Prone to confusion. Maybe what's coming out your mouth and what thoughts you have are not congruent, you know, or just can't quite get your thoughts real clear. So how you might know that too, some people are saying, I just don't feel as creative. I just don't feel fulfilled. I just don't feel as satisfying. You know, I was on a phone call with a lady yesterday from Florida, actually, and another lady this morning, both saying, will I ever get my energy back? Will I ever, the one lady in particular that I was sharing with, you know, talking about, you know, there's more to life she wants to live. There's more to life she wants to do, but just not feeling it right now. So no doubt about it. People could feel a heavy cloud going on, but hold on, we're gonna be eventually getting to some pretty cool solutions here. Impaired sleep. When a person is not getting enough rest, they are not getting good blood flow to the brain. They're not getting enough oxygen. So good quality sleep's important. Reduce ability to perceive, understand, and think clearly. Wow, that's a good one. Being here at the company, I could tell you, we definitely notice this with customers more now than we have before. Feel disassociated or distant from reality, just not seeing things clearly, not just seeing things realistically. Have difficulty responding to external events. There could be a whole hour on that one. But just having the awareness of how the external events are real, how we're responding to them and being affected by circumstances. You may not hear someone when they talk to you. People are talking more at us, or maybe we're doing the same thing, talking more at other people versus talking with them. There's a little difference there, or maybe you're talking to someone and you're communicating the sentence, or you're communicating an idea and nobody's home. That has been happening with me with some people as well, explaining something and I don't know where they went. You know, it's may not notice traffic when crossing. That is just in this autopilot, you know, or you're driving somewhere because our mind and our body, we're already programmed. We know how to get home, and before you know it, you're home and you didn't realize it. That I want to tell you is just let's call it a yellow light, an orange light, a warning to try to be more mindful of staying present as much as possible. That's when accidents happen. That's when things just start slipping through the crack. Irritability, loneliness, depression, isolation. Okay, those are all symptoms of brain fog. It impacts social life. You don't feel like being as sociable. You don't feel like being in, maybe you're used to connecting more with some friends or family. So that may be an issue, may not be. Slurring words, they're just not coming out real clear. Pausing for a long time mid-speech. You might forget your thoughts. You might have this delay. That's very interesting because I have been seeing that a lot more as well with people. Abnormal or incoherent words or sentences, just not making sense, not really connecting to the subject. Inability to track time, just losing track of time. Sudden changes in emotions. You might feel pretty stable 1 minute and another minute, Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde just showed up, and the feeling of it's just even hard to control it. Easily lose train of thought. So that kind of goes in with some of the other stuff. Disoriented, weak attention span, just very short, to stay on task, to get a job done. I don't know if this is considered brain fog, but I have some bins of files that have been put in my office willingly that I want to sort out and organize, and just, feeling the motivation to get that all done, maybe just do a little piece at a time. Are there some projects that you put up? Maybe it's not projects, maybe it's just folding clothes, maybe it's just doing your laundry. I spoke with a lady the other day, and I just asked her, when was the last time you washed your sheets? Just washed your sheets. She's like, I'm embarrassed to even tell you. I said, you probably do it maybe like once a month. And she's like, nope. She said, so like those little tasks of washing your sheets and, more energy to go get your groceries, or more, it's just taking more energy, quite a bit. Worrying more, mental, that fuzzy, foggy feeling, just not quite getting the clarity that you typically would get. Okay, so then before we go to some of the causes, I want to, you could raise your hand, or in the chat. I want to see if anybody, has, want to share any of their experiences or ideas so far of what they have been feeling. But you could say, even in the chat, raise your hand. Are you connecting with this? Does this feel like, wow, you can really relate to it? So anytime, just feel like putting something in there. So let's go ahead to causes, okay? Because this is really important. Then I'm going to go to solution. You can never completely clear up any brain fog as long as there is inflammation in your body, okay? As long as, there are certain markers, that stand out that really, really affect the brain fog. And that's anywhere there is inflammation. You can have inflammation in the brain. When I had my brain injury, I had a lot of inflammation, okay? And sometimes inflammation in the brain will not clear up for a few years. But if there's inflammation in the body, if there's, influences of anything that is out of balance, even arthritis, even that people will have toxins that are just in the gut, in the lungs. But I don't want to jump ahead. I'm starting to jump ahead on a couple things that I want to go into a little more detail. So pregnancy and menopause, that can cause inflammation, because anytime there's hormone imbalance, there could be inflammation. Let's say a poor diet, heavier on sugar or heavier on processed foods. A lack of B12. B12 is so good for your brain. So whether you take it as a shot, whether you take it, as a chewable or liquid, B12 is just so healing to the brain and the central nervous system. It helps with the whole central nervous system that's connected into the brain. Deficiencies and food sensitivities. You could be eating some foods that you're allergic to. It could be even a tablespoon of something that you're taking on a day-to-day basis that your body is telling you no, and that can have an effect on your brain. As we mentioned, sleep, maybe sleep apnea, maybe you're not getting enough blood flow and oxygen into your brain, which you could be tested for that too. Certain medications, side effects, absolutely add to brain fog. Causes. I think depression and anxiety might be a little more of a symptom from the inflammation or from the mental stress. Fibroid disorder, that could definitely influence brain fog. Now, brain fog is not a disease, by the way. It's just a term that, or they call it more cognitive decline or optimization. That it's more, the research and study is more in that way. But it, again, with the fibroid disorder, there's hormone disorder, there's toxins that are in the tissues there. Poor blood circulation to the brain. For people who are choosing to become more immobile, and I don't want to just refer to it as this time, because this has gone on for a long time, no matter what. It's just has escalated. But the lack of blood circulation to the brain, that's huge. So staying active. And active could mean, I don't know, walk around your block, 10 minutes. Active could be up where my office is, there's a number of stairs to get up and down to go to the rest of the facility. And I like that, because that inspires me, motivates me to move every day, up and down, really, really. Some days I'm a little slower, some days I'm a little faster, but there's movement. I don't know if any of you used to hear about using slant boards, or you can use your ironing board, lay on it upside down or lay over, put your head over your bed the other way on your back and get the blood flowing to your brain. That was done using gravity, for the brain, was done years ago. It's rarely you ever hear that being talked about now. Oxygen to the brain. It goes in line. If there is not enough oxygen, if there's not enough blood flow to the brain, if there is not enough sleep, all of this, you're going to feel the brain fog more. And I read a really good article about this guy for 3 years. This is a true story. He's think he wrote it. It was about 6 months ago. Yeah, he had for 3 years, he thought he was getting dementia. He was in his early 50s. Short-term memory was going. Very depressed. He said he remembered driving to places, couldn't remember where he was at. He didn't have a brain injury. He just started to really decline in his mental capabilities. And then someone told him about, well, it's a program, I think it's called Brain Booster, but it's really about how to breathe. He said just by changing the way he breathes every day, he had such significant recovery. So that was a situation where absolutely one of his causes for his situation had to do with a lack of oxygen. A lot of people do very short breaths, and a lot of people hold their breath. I mean, I can catch myself doing that, even talking. And have you ever talked with someone and they're supposedly they're talking with you, but actually they're talking at you, and they go on and they go on and they go on, and then you wonder, are they breathing? How do they take a breath in what they're saying? It's so being mindful of how we're breathing. And he said he started doing these practices just every night, before he went to bed. There are practices that you can be given intermittently, but I think that is something to become a little more aware of. Heavy metal exposure. This one's pretty interesting, okay, because we are being inundated with heavy metals, whether it's through the chemtrail, through the earth, through our food, definitely through water, heavy metals, absolutely. I want to say it's just not only the brain, it's every organ. It's so toxic to the system. A common heavy metal is arsenic. And there's a lot of arsenic in chicken. So there are people who love to eat a lot of chicken. So I would say you might want to get your levels tested. And maybe this is a good time. Let me tell you, everybody who's listening, let me tell you about a couple things you could do. So you could maybe test your own oxygen level as well. So there's a test. You can research this online. It's called the Pre-Code Test Panel. Okay, and and it'll give you a whole list of places in the country where you could go ahead and get a test taken, and it's going to let you know your insulin level, because this definitely affects brain fog. It's going to let you know your inflammation and infection markers. It's going to let you know hormone nutrient levels. It's going to let you know toxic chemicals as well. So if you want to look this up online, and it's going to give you some locations, it's how you could do this simple test. If you want to know a little bit more, what's going on in your blood and your system, and it's called the Pre-Code Test Panel. So I think if you want to, I'm kind of interested in checking that out myself as well. So you've heard of a oximeter. That is, they use this in the hospital all the time, and you put it over your finger, and it tests your oxygen level and your heart rate, right? because if your heart rate is way too low, usually there are levels of inflammation going on in your body. Okay, so you might want to kind of double check this yourself. Actually, I just ordered one of these today as well. This is kind of the fun part of doing these classes, is tapping into more information. So an oximeter, if you want to look at that, it can it'll test your oxygen in your pulse. So I think that's a good idea to do. One of the other things, if you don't have it at home yourself, a cuff to test your blood pressure. I really believe, as much as you can, to doctor yourself, and it's okay to kind of see how, what's your blood sugar level, what's your blood pressure level, and you could test your blood sugar even at home. You could go to Walgreens and get what you need to do that as well. These are good indicators and markers to see where you're at. So causes with the dementia, the Alzheimer's, not enough sleep, bad sleep hygiene, that's a good one. That one, and then I want to talk about the stress too. So really, be able to bathe, shower, your sheets, is your area, is your room clean? What's the hygiene around? Again, this adds to toxicity. Ongoing stress is probably the biggest one that affects blood flow, circulation, oxygen. Let's go down to foods, fried foods, caffeine, gluten, alcohol, mercury, mold. All of this definitely affects brain fog. Now, so I want to talk about solutions, but one of the things that real aware of that has such a direct effect on the brain has to do with toxicity. It has to do with toxins that are in the gut and toxins that are in our sinuses, toxins that they get in the brain, they get in the liver, they get everywhere, and so do parasites. There was a lady who maybe 2 hours ago or so I was on the phone with, and she's been doing our Puricite cleanse now for 3 months. And she said this morning she said so apparent, a parasite, came out of her nose. And she said, how long do I have to take this? I'm like, as long as you see the parasites. Right now, I would tell people how important to keep cleansing. If we do not get the toxins out of the system, that's pollution, that's poison. How can we circulate? Because through blood, we circulates oxygen and nutrients. You can't circulate the nutrients through your blood if it is so acidic and there's so many toxins that are in there. So what does that mean to most of us? That means being willing to break our routines, be willing to make some changes. And I've said this before, even 10 minutes a day, now with what this person was saying, it just took even minutes to start learning how to breathe better and to create better breathing patterns. And getting there, we have to raise the bar on this. I heard today there are a number of emergency rooms that are not taking any more people. They are so full. Okay. Now, a lot of people are going into fear, panic, all kinds of symptoms of different things that are arising. What is the medical facility going to do for you? I don't know, but I know one thing. You have the opportunity to change your routine, to start really thinking about how important it is to stay very committed, get more involved in natural health and healing, study whatever it is you think that's coming up or that might be causing something for you. Find out, is it your blood sugar? Is it, the inflammation that's in your body? If there is inflammation in your body, there will always be brain fog. It definitely affects cognitive function. It has to, until we can clean that out more. This my very first cleanse years ago, it was so intense, but I had years of medications. I had so many spinal taps. My body was just full of chemicals. My blood was full of chemicals, and starting to move the chemicals out of my body, it was a challenge, and it didn't feel great at the moment, but every time I went through a layer of moving more of the toxins out, my brain got clear. And I remember it was 6 months later after first detoxifying, going through that whole process, those first 6 months, that was the first time, let's see, I was 23, 24, 25, around there. I read my first book. I was able to remember what I read. Okay, now that was from detoxifying, and my body was able to absorb the nutrition better. We got to take this seriously and not take it for granted. Just because I'm 65 and I hear this from people saying, well, they're feeling like this because they're just getting older, or I'm feeling like this because, I'm that's what you do when you start declining. I know people 80, 90s, they're as sharp as can be mentally. They are very active physically. It doesn't have to go in the way where the majority of the people go. Okay, and it's real easy to think, if I could just take a pill, I'll be better. Okay, but that's so false. That it's better. What do you mean better? You don't feel the pain as much. But these brains we have, oh my gosh, it is the most sophisticated computer ever created and designed. It's phenomenal. And we only use 2% of it. Wow. And for us to, the way I feel about this is the more I progress on in my physical body, marked by years, that's somebody put that attachment to us, marked by years, it's, I'm not going to accept things to get less and worse. No way. I'm just going to, I'm expecting the more creative I can stay, the less toxic, keeping the inflammation down, keeping the oxygen flowing, keeping the blood flowing. Okay, it should stay very sharp. Let's go to a few other factors here. And all of this is a summary of people, science, doctors who have researched the brain for years. And these are some of their conclusions. So healthy fats, avocado, olive oil, you know, the organic olive oil, and I would go for the organic coconut oil. Healthy fats are really important. Healthy fats, low carbs. Keep the sugar down, keep the carbs down, keep the fiber up, and keep the fats up. Okay, a high fiber diet makes such a difference. Solution, see if you have any hormones that are out of balance, especially thyroid. Okay, a little bit of iodine might be good. You could check it out however you want. Must reduce inflammation, toxins, parasites. That was pretty cool. Did you do that? Oh, Myra did that. Low carbs, high fiber diet. Good. Must reduce inflammation, toxins, and parasites. You cannot clear up brain fog if there's inflammation, toxins, and parasites in the body. You just can't. Have to increase the oxygen level. Sugar intake, take it down or take it out. I have reduced my sugar intake quite a bit. I just don't think about it too much at this point. I definitely have taken carbs down. That something's happening where it's becoming easier to start to make some of these changes. And it could be because I'm becoming more conscious of being sensitive to how it feels when it gets out of balance. What are you doing to I don't want to say manage stress. That term doesn't even make sense to me. What are you doing to minimize the stress in your life? And it was interesting reading some information from different doctors. They said they never thought they would be saying this today, but they said, I can't deny the science that meditation and grounding yourself with the earth, they said it has been proven of what it changes and does to the cells of your body, and especially to the brain. So, but you know what? This takes us being involved in our healing, doesn't it? It takes us to be more active and taking the action steps for our healing. When you have this kind of information put in front of you, I wouldn't expect you to say, oh, okay, I'm going to get this all done by Christmas. Okay, that's not what it's about. You might pick and choose a couple of these areas and say, you know, for now, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to make a few changes here. And at least you're doing something. At least you're starting somewhere. Let's go to eat vegetables rich in iron, drink lots of water, treat underlying medical conditions. Always have to look at that if there is symptoms of brain fog. Mineral supplement, probably that and Pure Cleanse that people take, and they say they could tell such a difference on their brain. I love this. Kimberly found this one. Have fun with memory working activities like brain puzzles, memory games. Puzzles are really good for the brain. And you know, the game card Solitary, that is incredible for your brain. I know a lady, she lived in South Dakota. Her name was Shirley Brown. She was a medicine person. And she did solitary every day, multiple times, but she did it as card readings. She would read somebody's life or anything you asked her, but that kept her brain so sharp. I think she was in the upper 90s, 80s, late 80s, when she left her body. But and I remember the last 30 days when I went back to help take care of my mom before she passed, playing solitary. Oh my gosh, helped ground me. It helped me to stay focused. And I learned that from that lady, Shirley Brown. So that was a good one. So let's say multitasking. how much can we get done at once and all at the same time? That's changing, I think, for a lot of people. It's what's the rush, you know? That's where a lot more mistakes get made. Paraffin from candles. Here's an interesting one, because one of the doctors shared about a patient who became deathly ill from the paraffin from candles. For years, she loved candles, a lot of candles, burned a lot of candles in her home. And it became very toxic to her brain. So they did a method, some different things, but he said they had to go back to just detoxification, okay, and clean the blood out, clean the body out. And what helped her was intermittent fasting. So we've talked about that on this show too, that if you can go 12 to 14 hours, and this one doctor in particular, he said he really recommend 14 to 16 hours to do intermittent fasting to help get the toxins out of the body. Oh, yeah. Do you want to say that, Matt?
Oh yeah, no, I was just looking up. Somebody put in the chat, what is paraffin used for? And it's I don't know. It's used in medicine, but it's also used in looks like rocketry. So I don't know how you can go from fuel components and diesels and tractor engines and rockets to finding a way to put it in our bodies. But Mom, everything you're saying is I'm taking notes, and then you're going to it. Like every thought I have, you're hitting it. And like I just love the topic of activating our healing. Our bodies naturally want to heal themselves, and we are like our worst enemy because of all the things that we override and don't listen to that our body telling us what it needs. And just taking an assessment of feeling like, do I have brain fog? Do I have these symptoms? When do I have them? And then trying to be scientific about, is it associated to people? Is it internal? Is it something I ate, or is it something I'm around? And just having that discernment and that awareness. But because like what you said about it being our brain being the central processing unit, a CPU, kind of like if we think of it like a computer, it absolutely is. And there's so much hardware up in there with the pineal gland, the hypothalamus, the thalamus, the pituitary gland, and all these little things, all this little hardware in there is sending out signals to our body, which is an electrical system. And if there's inflammation, the electricity is not flowing. And if the pituitary gland's not doing what it's supposed to, it's not sending out the right signals for what hormones the body needs or what amino acids need to be activated. So I'm just really feeling this healing theme that's coming through. Is my body naturally wants to heal itself. What am I doing from the time I wake up to the time I go to sleep to help it do that? And now, the solutions, the 2%, 10%, how much of our brain do, it's such a mystery. Yeah. All of it still is. I mean, are the memories stored right here, or are they right here? Are they back here? It's like there's this physical hardware up here that's running this metaphysical almost software where I'm just trying to, because the brain fog. The other thought that I had is like, how do we know that it's just that day, that energy that's coming in is just it's just a lot to process in that moment. And so it's lots of ideas.
This is great, Matt.
Thank you.
That's great. And with what you were sharing, it kind of goes into how can you be as intuitive? Okay, if there's so many toxins in the system, and if there's all these chemicals, how can you really be that intuitive? Because the receptors to the brain and the heart are very strong. Okay, and the heart is it. I find it. I know it's separate, but it's not separate. For us to feel the peace, for us to feel the love, for us to feel, the positive, then we have to clear this stuff out of the blood. We have to clear this stuff out of the brain. Other areas recommended that could help, that could, on a nutritional level, food level, is wild caught salmon, sardines, rainbow trout, and it's a type of tuna, albanine, is it albanine? Tuna. It's a certain type of tuna. Not every tuna was recommended because a lot of tuna has mercury as well. So I'm trying to see what, I'm sure I have it down somewhere, but it begins, let's see. Anyways, a tuna, okay. Meat without hormones and grass-fed. Some people are choosing to go vegan. Some people are choosing, that's fine, no, no meat or whatever. But if you do choose to have meat, you want it to be without the nitrates, the hormones, grass-fed, if possible, and if you can find it. We talked about blood sugar, imbalance. Is your body producing too much insulin, not enough insulin? Intermittent fasting, okay, I mentioned that. And I mentioned about checking the heavy metals as solutions, because once we can get some of this purified out of our system, and we could think clearer, we could be more present. Now, here's what I'm hearing feedback on with people. They feel overwhelmed. They feel overwhelmed with misinformation. They feel overwhelmed with what's going on, or they feel overwhelmed with feeling like they've made decisions that weren't good for them. Can you ever really, what do? Do you go outside and wear an oxygen mask? Do you, there's got to be a point here of feeling like there's so many toxins coming into our system and our skin and our body in so many ways that you can obsess over it almost, or you could just stay in fear with this. That's not how we were designed, okay? Our bodies are amazing as far as what it can handle. If you think about it, oh my gosh. There was a person, this was about 2 months ago, I met with. Wow, I just don't even know how this person's alive with all the medications, all the surgeries they've had. The list goes on, and I'm like, wow, it's amazing how much we could take. So to the extreme, but can you imagine? We don't even know how to feel that great. We don't even know how to feel that good mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually. We just know how to keep plugging the holes and doing different things that get us by through today. We don't think about the 6 months. We don't think about in a year. I mean, some of you are on the call, you're in your 20s, you're in your 30s, you're in your 40s. Okay. You don't, I mean, when I was a lot younger, although I started this path pretty young, but it wasn't a thing I thought about, turning 65 and, what am I doing today would affect how I'm going to be tomorrow. We don't have big wiggle room right now to even think that, oh, grace will get me by, I'll be okay. We got to do our part. We got to get involved. And I know Matt has something really cool to say.
No, I don't. I'm sorry. I'm just feeling all of everything that you're saying. I'm like, because I feel the anxiousness or the anxiety of like, is it Can I do anything about the chemtrails? No. Can I do anything about the GMOs and all the food? No. Can I do, do I have enough means to be able to buy grass-fed meat? No. It's like all these different things. So I'm just like, what can I do? And what can and I think it's a little bit is to fast and just kind of get in tune with my body. Because when we're saying we want to heal, I'm like, what does that mean? I want more life force to come through me. I want all of my abilities, if they're locked I want it all. I want to process information fast. I want to think fast, talk fast, if important. I just want all of it to work the way that God intended it to work. And like, I'm like paraffin. I'm like, I don't know what it is. It's used in all kinds of stuff. And like, apparently it's a moisturizer too. And so it's like nothing is good or bad. It's all about how we apply it and use it. And I feel electric right now because this is all resonating with me I want to do this, Mom. I want to have a high functioning brain. But then you said something about the membrane, the skin, and then the gut being also a brain. So there's kind of like, we're focused on the brain that's on the top of the shoulders right now, the one that sends kind of the messages to our bodies that help it do what it needs to on the daily. Okay.
This was really, since you're talking about the skin a minute, I find pretty interesting that, okay, so we could go in saunas. It's really good to sweat, right? And get the toxins out through the skin. And then what people don't realize, there's even, and this is the hair follicles too. This is the face, everything here. And after you sweat or you've gone into a sauna, you've worked out, there is like a film on the skin that really needs to come off yet. Okay, and you could do a little bit of a salt rub that's on it. You could then take some Epsom salts maybe, but people don't realize your pores are still, they're open, but then they're clogged again. So this is really, oh man, studying the body like this, I find it so exciting, and to be able to become aware, that our skin is like our third kidney, but we got skin up here too. And like you were saying, Matt, even a lot of the hair supplies have heavy metals in them. Okay, a lot of it goes right in. And hey, I use a hair gel. Hey, I use a hairspray here and there. Hey, whatever. It don't often think, well, this stuff goes into the brain area as well.
Let me ask you about this pair. I'm Googling it because I didn't, it's interesting, but it says that it forms a physical barrier on the skin to prevent water loss. This can make a person's skin feel supple and soft, but it's not allowing your skin to breathe.
No.
It's clogging it up. And what you're saying is you need that sweat to be able to come out, because that's how we eliminate the toxins and the parasites. And that's why it's good to clean our sheets on the weekly, because of all that's getting absorbed into that, right?
Absolutely. And especially if you take the Puricite, because it comes out the rectum and you won't be able to see it all. But this is a side note from brain fog. It was over Thanksgiving weekend, went to a place and did the hot springs and some what's called vapor caves. And I had a salt scrub. I don't know if any of you have ever had a salt scrub on your body. It's salt, it had herbs in it and coconut. And it was like 30 minutes nonstop sandpaper on my body. It was really uncomfortable, but yet, oh my gosh, to this day, it's amazing what got all the dead skin that came off. And I think Myra was mentioning about the dry skin brushing too. You can do that on your neck. You could do that on your head. And there's a loofah brush that you could even do, on the face too. It's, I mean, this is fun stuff, that we talk about like this. I want to mention, no matter whenever you do detoxify and you're making some of these changes, whatever you're doing, make sure you have purified water. Make sure you're having good purified water without all the chlorine and all the contaminants that are in there, because the majority of our body, we are made up of water. Yes, we're being exposed to a lot of chemicals, right? You know, for years, you know, really for years in our water, but this is one of the ways we can keep flushing some of that out. Any other good feedback? This is great. I'm loving it. You know, and it's really great to be back. I know it's been a while since I've done a Zoom, and I was thinking, wow, you know, it doesn't matter what holiday, not holiday, what's going on. You know, I want to get back into just sharing and talking about, you know, what are the things we could keep doing to optimize, you know, our health, optimize especially the mental and the emotional function right now. Kind of that's going on with people, and it'll help you to make clear decisions for yourself. It'll help you to open up to those hunches and those intuitive spiritual promptings that we're all capable of getting multiple times in a day. We have on an average 20,000 thoughts in a 24-hour period. Don't waste them, you know? I don't want to waste them. And it's a practice. I mean, there are times where, oh yeah, I could get hung up on a circumstance, but then you know, I got to unwind that ball of yarn. You know, I want to do it because I want to be more present. But ultimately, you cannot feel fulfilled and satisfied, feel that satisfaction in your life if you're in this fog, okay? Whatever it is. And if you need help talking about, okay, you know, trying to see what it is that's, you know, causing some things going on, you know, email me, or let's talk about it and get you heading in the right direction, or try some of the tests, or see what your oxygen level is. If you're breathing, we can change anything. Okay, you're still here, we can change anything. Sometimes it takes time. It didn't get here overnight. It's not going to get undone overnight, but at least I can promise you it can really change, though, for the better. So if we're done for tonight, I mean, this is great. I appreciate the messages in the chat, and I appreciate the feedback here and everybody being on the call. And I really hope you'll think about some of these things. And tomorrow, I'll have Kimberly, if you would, we'll just send people some of these sheets and get, you know, just pick a few things, start working on it, see what you think. And have a wonderful evening. Thank you.